has a chance of reacting quite strongly to that one. Knowing that, we have the ECB decision tonight, which people seem to remain on hold for.
Well, that's exactly right, Brooke. Definitely the Australian dollar has moved a little bit around the local domestic data that was released earlier in the week, but really all eyes has been on the ECB interest rate announcement tonight, which seems to be one of the more important meetings for this year, coupled with the non-farm payrolls from the US tomorrow night. So you've probably seen this wait and hold approach, this calm before the storm, so to speak, with the Aussie dollar, as it waits for some sort of indication for direction going forward, starting with tonight.
How would you be positioning as a trader heading into this decision by the ECB?
Well, look, I mean, with the ECB, there does seem to be quite a bit of pricing already that they are going to do something. I mean, ECB President Draghi last month came out and said that they were going to ease monetary policy in no uncertain terms. The markets are expecting them to cut interest rates by, say, 15 basis points from 0.25% to 0.1%, and the deposit rate possibly into negative territory, down to minus 1.1 or 0.15%. So if they were to come out with a surprise announcement, such as large-scale asset purchases, which is a very small chance, or a targeted LTRO, something to stimulate lending to businesses in the Eurozone, that could weigh on the euro, and it could weigh on the euro against the Aussie dollar in particular.
So is that how you, the biggest opportunity to make money off that one, basically? Is that how you're positioned for weakness on the euro heading into it?
Correct, exactly. I mean, if they were to surprise, I mean, where the euro is sitting right at the moment, there is already quite a bit of negative news priced into it. The ECB really have to come out with a surprise tonight to really push it further down. And how best to express that is against central banks such as the RBA.
And you're backing the guts of the ECB on this one, therefore, in anticipating. If you're saying position for euro weakness, you're backing them, saying they'll come out with some kind of bazooka.
Well, they have to do something. I mean, if you look at the numbers earlier this week, I mean, the PMI numbers weren't all that flash. The inflation numbers also came in much less than expected. So the interest rate cuts is pretty much a foregone conclusion. It's just a matter of what else they do. And not only that, but their forecast for inflation going forward. If they were to downgrade their forecast for next year into 2015, then that could definitely mean that asset purchases is something that is an option that is left on the table. And the markets may actually weigh the euro on the back of that.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. So if they come out with kind of the as expected lines, but say, you know, in a couple of months' time, we're looking at something bigger, would that be enough to see the euro weakness now?
Most probably. Look, there could be a knee-jerk reaction lower on the back of that, which is why when you have the announcement this evening in Sydney time, and then the conference 45 minutes later, the conference may actually cause some volatility just as much as the initial announcement as well.
All right, that's all ahead of non-farm payrolls as well, so it rounds out a pretty big week. From the Australian dollar perspective again, what's going to be the big mover here?
Well, look, definitely the non-farm payrolls are usually the most volatile indicator in the week or in the month for FX. The Aussie has really taken its cue from the US dollar story. There does seem to be a nascent growth that is taken to hold or holding on to numbers that we've been seeing recently. I mean, you look at the Beige Book overnight, for example, they pretty much stipulated that economic activity is growing, that labour growth is being seen in the economy. So if we have this notion that tapering will end possibly in October this year, that could add weight to the Aussie on the downside as the US dollar strengthens.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Great to have you on the show.
Anytime.
So there you go. That's one view heading into those big global events the next couple of days. Sticking with Europe, though, the world's leading industrial